said $3 million will be allocated each municipal corporation of the 2 worst affected parishes, while the local authorities of the other 2 less affected parishes will receive $2 million each. The minister has also given approval for municipal corporations to use their special grant for repairs to take care of emergencies in their jurisdictions as necessary. Reports of heavy property damage, flooding, loss of livestock and crops were received up to yesterday, as the Meteorological Service explained that the heavy rain resulted from a trough across Jamaica and the Western Caribbean. The Met Service downgraded a flash flood warning for low-lying and flood-prone areas of Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary and Portland, and issued a flash flood watch for all parishes until 5 a.m. today. $4.8 billion has been earmarked to improve the island's road network. 51 road rehabilitation projects are scheduled to commence this year. Works include construction of retaining walls, repairing roads with asphalt concrete, and construction of sidewalks and road markings. The widening of the Nagahead Main Road in Portmore St. Catherine is also among the projects. Senior Communications Officer at the National Works Agency, Ramona Lawson, said upgrading this section of the roadway will cost about $250 million.
Some items in the program of work include gabion wall construction, rubble masonry wall construction, as well as we'll be laying down, installing concrete sidewalks and putting in curbs and channel, as well as stormwater drainage. To do mainly drainage improvement works and overlaying works with asphaltic concrete. Some 2.05 kilometers of roadway will be rehabilitated under that project. Part of the scope of works as well, we'll also be constructing about 1,100 meters of U-drain. All of this work is expected to be performed within 6 months of the start date of the project.
The private sector organization of Jamaica is demanding full disclosure of the National Security Minister on his meeting with the police commissioner yesterday. Howard Mitchell, president of the organization, told RGR News on Monday afternoon that the main concern is that, quote, there are issues between the minister and the commissioner of police which may impede the effective teamwork or effective coordination of policy and implementation of policy, end quote. He said clarification is needed because of the number of conflicting stories that have emerged following the meeting between the two. The Jamaica Police Federation says it is eagerly anticipating the outcome of this week's cabinet meeting, in which wage negotiations between the government and the public sector workers will be discussed. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in responding to the Federation last Monday, said while he understands and appreciates the challenges, personal sacrifice and ultimate danger with which law enforcement officers must contend, the meeting is necessary given the far-reaching implications of the issues to be addressed, brought forward by the Police Federation. However, General Secretary of the Federation, Sergeant Cecil McCalla, urged the government to be creative in their thinking and formulate solutions that will improve the income of the cops. Last month, the Federation shot down the offer of 4% increase in year 1 and 2% in year 2 as unacceptable. The ball is in the Jamaica Teachers Association's court. This after the government missed Monday's deadline for a response regarding wage negotiations. The association had given the government until 5 o'clock in the afternoon to respond, but that response did not materialize. JTA President Georgia War Richards could not be reached for a comment. The Ministry of Education is on high alert to put contingency measures in place in the event that there was a protest action by public sector workers. That's public sector teachers. The teachers and other groups of public sector employees have been pressing the government to significantly increase its pay increase offer of 6% over 2 years. And still on education, Education Minister Senator Will Reid says that the ministry intends to outline the proposed grooming and nutrition policy for schools this academic term. In a national broadcast on January 7, Senator Reid said this is aimed at promoting a healthier lifestyle among students. The minister pointed out that last year, Jamaica did not have a persistent and consistent message regarding healthy lifestyles and good nutritional practices, which unfortunately permeated to the country's schools. It is in this regard, he noted, that discussions have been held with the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, to develop nutritional guidelines for schools. This will also be done in conjunction with the Ministry of Health, with a view of rolling out the policy. He pointed out that nutrition, stimulation, and protection from violence are critical areas that should be addressed during the first 1,000 days of a child's life. There is an increase in judges for the Supreme Court. 3 were appointed as puisne judges and another 3 to act as puisne judges. 1 was also appointed to act as master in chambers. The judges were sworn in by Deputy Governor General Stedman Fuller on Friday.
The transparent method by which new judges are selected for appointment is one way of securing that legacy. This is a position of high esteem, which requires your continued dedication to service above self and the preservation of the integrity for which our judicial system has become known.
The management of Fly Jamaica Airways has been summoned to a meeting with officials at the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority following reports of an increase in flight cancellations and delays in recent weeks. According to News Source Guyana, GCAA Director General Egbert Field says the meeting is likely to take place this week. In recent days, scores of passengers have been left stranded as Fly Jamaica cancelled a number of its flights and delayed others. It's reported that problems started just before the Christmas holidays as both of the airline's planes went out of service for maintenance. The problems have prompted passengers to take to social media. In an effort to address concerns, Fly Jamaica on Friday apologized for problems with its service, stating that it has been experiencing operational setbacks that have resulted in its scheduled service being affected. Fly Jamaica operates flights from Guyana to Kingston, Toronto, and New York. In regional news, Trinidad and Tobago looks set to get its first female president, with a judge nominated to succeed Anthony Carmona as the next head of state.
This country is set to have its first female president after Madam Justice Paula May Weeks has been nominated for the position. She is the only nomination that came forward today after the opposition did not present any nomination of their own. However, they have until Monday. Madam Justice Paula May Weeks was appointed as an appeal judge in the Turks and Caicos Islands in 2017 for a term of 3 years. Before taking up that position, Madam Justice Weeks served in a similar capacity in the judiciary of Trinidad and Tobago from 2005 to 2016. She was first appointed as a judge back in 1996. And prior to that, she worked in the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for 11 years. Madam Justice Weeks is a graduate of the University of the West Indies and the Hugh Wooding Law School. Ian Wason, C News.
Oil giant ExxonMobil has made another major oil discovery in Guyana's waters, the 6th and largest find to date. ExxonMobil's partner, Esso Exploration, last Friday announced a major oil find at the Ranger 1 field in Starbrook Block, more than 230 feet of high-quality oil-bearing reservoir. The discovery represents the largest single find to date and adds to the quantities which have been confirmed in the 5 previous finds, estimated to have a total recoverable resources of more than 3.2 billion barrels of oil equivalent. Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, meantime, said Guyanese should be optimistic about the latest find. In sports, the Jamaica Football Federation appears to be pulling out all the stops in its efforts to put on a first-class show that typifies Jamaica's hospitality suaveness when it hosts the FIFA Executive Football Summit next Thursday. JFF President Michael Ricketts could hardly contain his excitement at the prospect of playing host to international football and local dignitaries. He is quoted as saying, "We want to be at our A game, and we want to ensure that we connect with every president. We want to build on those relationships and build on these contacts, and this must lift our profile as a footballing nation." End quote. The event, which is the first in the Caribbean and second in CONCACAF, will be staged at the Montego Bay Convention Center in Jamaica's picturesque northwest coast. And that's the news. Do stay with us. The weather report is next. This is PBCJ's weather report. Thanks so much for staying with us. Let's start as usual with our local currents. First up is Kingston. We're looking at an average temperature today between 25 and 27 degrees Celsius. We're also seeing a forecast of scattered showers throughout the parish. We're expecting the temperature to go down to just about 23 degrees Celsius as the sun sets this evening at 6:33 p.m. Let's take a look at our 7-day forecast for Kingston. We're looking at rainy skies throughout the week. We're seeing at least 70% chance of rainfall going into Thursday and Friday. We're also looking at an average temperature between 23 and 28 degrees Celsius throughout this week. We're seeing an 80% chance of rainfall going into the weekend as well. In Montego Bay, St. James, we're looking at an average temperature between 21 and 27 degrees Celsius today. We're also seeing a forecast of scattered showers throughout the parish of St. James, and we're looking at a low temperature at 10 degrees Celsius in this evening going into tonight. In our 7-day forecast for Montego Bay, St. James, we're looking at a 40% chance of rainfall for tomorrow, and it increases as we go on to the rest of the week, so you can expect a wet week for Montego Bay, St. James. We're looking at an average temperature between 21 and 27 degrees Celsius for Montego Bay, St. James, and we're looking at an increased chance of rainfall going into the weekend for that parish as well. Let's take a look at the forecast for the rest of the island. Today, we can expect an average temperature between 25 and 28 degrees Celsius, and we're also expecting scattered showers across most parishes, so ensure that you dress and plan accordingly. In our forecast for tomorrow, we're expecting sunny skies in St. Elizabeth, but it should be rainy in most parishes. We're expecting some cloudy conditions over there in Port Antonio and over there in Negril. In our regional forecast for tomorrow, we're expecting an average temperature between 23 and 28 degrees Celsius. We're also expecting rainy skies for most of our countries in the region, especially in the eastern end. We're looking at some cloudy conditions though over there in Santo Domingo. Let's take a look at our travel planner for those of us going to the United States. Tomorrow, we're expecting sunny skies in New York, but we could be getting some rainfall in Miami. We're looking at the temperatures, and we're seeing a minimum temperature -6 with a high at 24 degrees Celsius. And Miami, of course, has the highest temperature forecast. And over there in the UK, we're looking at snowfall for London. And over there in Rome, we're looking at some cloudy conditions. We're seeing a minimum temperature 0 degrees Celsius and high at 13 degrees Celsius for these areas that you're looking at. And that's it for the weather report. Thanks so much for making it PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.
Jamaica, lush, beautiful tropical island. warm, loving, hard-working people.
Renowned international achievements.
Yet daunted by corruption, poverty, crime and violence.
Realizing the need for better governance, transparency and accountability in our affairs, National Integrity Action NIA was launched to combat corruption and build integrity in Jamaica.
Non-partisan, balanced and fair, NIA has embarked on a broad program to help build a movement for integrity.
Persistently pushing Parliament to pass crucial anti-corruption laws.
Training public officials, working in communities among students and the youth. The Governor General's I Believe program.
NIA is expanding, now a membership organization.
Jamaica can curb corruption, but more hands are needed. Join NIA today. Let us together make Jamaica the place of choice to live, to work, to raise families, and to do business.
As an inner city youth, I'm a duty to know the laws and my rights. These laws affect all our self-interest and safety.
A true your talk. If you know the laws of the land and do the right thing, then respect you to each and every